closely at the generative AI industry, and you will find a highly polished plastic illusion. The seemingly limitless digital intelligence, accessible from your laptop, is masking an entirely unsustainable physical reality. Right now, everyday users pay a flat subscription of roughly $20 a month for tools like ChatGPT and Claude. In exchange, they consume thousands of dollars in raw computing power. The math there obviously does not add up. The gap between that $20 fee and the actual server costs is being absorbed by a massive venture capital subsidy. Billions of dollars are literally being set on fire by venture capitalists to artificially depress the price for the end user. Because of this dynamic, the current AI ecosystem is not operating as a functional business. It is a massive charitable operation kept afloat by venture capitalists willing to take heavy losses. We saw a structure exactly like this 18 years ago. The 2008 housing crash was built on handing out massive, unverified assets to people who could never afford them. During that bubble, mortgage lenders operated with such little oversight that a mariachi singer could get a massive loan with nothing but a photograph of himself. There was zero mathematical path to paying off the debt. The subsidized AI token functions as the digital successor to those bad loans. In both cases, an incredibly expensive asset is being handed out, with no clear way for the recipient or the provider to ever cover its true cost. Like the subprime mortgage market before it, the AI sector relies entirely on a high-stakes confidence game played by billionaires. The entire system assumes the influx of easy money will never stop. To understand how these companies justify their burn rates, we have to move from the consumer's wallet into the corporate boardroom. Any standard business relies on tracking its cost of goods sold, or COGS. In AI, COGS represents the staggering physical cost of the computing power, electricity, and hardware required to run these massive models. This ledger illustrates an accounting trick called moon math. By citing floating non-GAAP margins, they obscure their true cost of goods sold. Without audited financials, Wall Street buys into a manufactured mythological narrative instead of concrete economic data. The supposedly profitable AI models investors hear about on earnings calls are a bedtime story, carefully designed to distract from a massive financial hemorrhage. The problem with bleeding cash is that eventually the patient feels it. Companies can no longer hide the losses, and they are being forced into drastic real-world reactions. Take the recent rug pull by Anthropic. To stop the bleeding, they drastically lowered rate limits during peak hours, forcing users into expensive priority processing tiers just to maintain their existing workflows. When a major player like Anthropic pulls back, it serves as a reality check for the entire industry. It confirms that compute costs are not falling fast enough to maintain current price points, forcing companies to choose between their users and their survival. As the venture capital subsidies run dry, the digital tools users have grown entirely dependent on face an inevitable reality. They must become prohibitively expensive or significantly less capable. All of these software limits and financial games ultimately run into a strict physical reality. To keep AI alive, you need massive data centers. Every new generation of AI model requires exponential leaps in raw computing power. You cannot achieve promised advancements without physically building the hardware to process them. This is where the digital illusion shatters. Right now, 50% of planned US data centers are being delayed or entirely canceled. These delays stem from a complete collapse in the physical supply chain. The electrical grid simply cannot generate the gigawatts of power these massive new server farms demand. The constraints extend beyond electricity. There is a severe shortage of the raw physical materials, like elemental copper, required to physically wire these massive systems together. The ultimate threat to AI survival is a hard physical inability to build the infrastructure to house it. Yet the financial establishment is operating as if none of these physical constraints exist. Wall Street is actively playing a confidence game. Investors are choosing to ignore the physical supply chain crisis and the delayed data centers, clinging instead to the mythology of infinite digital growth. Unlike the 2008 banking system, the AI industry has not integrated itself into the basic functions of global commerce. It is not too big to fail. If the venture capital dries up, there is no systemic reason for a government bailout of a stalled data center. If the physical data centers cannot be built, the compute disappears. Advancements stop. the entire subsidized AI house of cards will suffer a structural collapse.